I hope you all know that we have already started a program for below 7 years. And so we are offering a space for observing children continuously for the 7+. And actually, we are not limiting the age, but I think it is better below 12 because 13, 14, they have already kind of, become far more, conditioned actually. So that's the reason why we are limiting to 12. So the idea basically is that we are trying to understand how children actually learn. I'm not sure whether any of you have attended my earlier workshops on how schooling is damaging children and how schooling in general is against knowledge, against knowing. It actually kills our natural cognitive system. Actually, we are biologically equipped to create knowledge. But from childhood, we are being conditioned to analyze information. So basically what happens is that our brain becomes mechanical and it will learn to analyze information. It will stop its ability to create knowledge. That's what actually happens. And we are basically equipped by life to understand the real world, not its description, not the written word. So the moment the child engages with the written word, their cognitive system rewires completely. They're, not only psychologically, but in every way there is a change in the child, so it rewires and become analyzers of information. And then we cry that, there's no creativity. Basically, we have killed it right from the beginning. So the attempt as a group, what we are trying to do is to really understand what is the process that is involved in making sense of the world, how children actually learn and create knowledge of the real world. Now, this research has not taken place because right from the beginning, the paradigm is how to teach children. So naturally, when you ask this question, how to teach, when you begin with such a question as to how to teach, naturally your answers will be related to that. You will decide what to teach, when to teach, how well to teach, where to teach. All that will come as a result of asking this one question, that how children learn, how to teach children. So, but how children learn is a different question altogether. Which means that we will have to really observe children to find out how do they learn, what is the process involved, what do they learn, issues like that. So this is what we have been doing for many, many years now. And we have been able to kind of decode the whole system of how this happens. Of course, there are lots of things left. But in general, we have been able to understand that there is a system given by life to understand the real world. It's like this, that all of you picked up your mother tongue without much effort. Do you think there was a system given by life to pick up the language? Right? You picked it up. I don't call it learning, because learning means effort. You imbibe the mother tongue and you are able to speak very well. Grammatically correct sentences you are able to speak, even though you didn't know grammar. Which means that grammar was implicitly there to enable you to speak properly. That was the implicit design. There was a hidden format or a design that enables you to speak very well. You see? So that is what I call as implicit knowledge. Exactly like the implicit knowledge of grammar enables you to speak, there are implicit rules to learn the real world. And that is something that we have been exploring. And I feel that there are different stages. And first 7 years is the time when children actually, kind of awaken their senses. That's their building stage. They are awakening their senses. They are physically getting more and more, skilled. And so that is one phase in which they are just absorbing what is happening around, And in the second phase, I feel from 7 to 12 or 14, is the time when they physically engage with the world, and an implicit knowledge of the rules of life, rules of living. What I mean by this is that the implicit physics, implicit mathematics, all that get embedded in a child. So this is what, and it'll take time for us to really decode it, because we have to really observe children uh, without interfering with what they do. So the first condition is that you have to give up your authority on the child, meaning you should not decide what children should teach, what to teach, what they should learn, things like that. They have to spontaneously respond to the world, do what they feel, whatever they are doing. Within that, we have to start observing and then trying to find out that what is it they are learning from there, what is the how are they making sense of the world, what are they actually doing, what and how do they keep on doing something. So this actually requires a really long-term kind of observation and a collective effort in this. Now see, I understood this because from 1991 I have been documenting children, from 1991. So it's quite some years, almost 24 plus 34, around 34 plus another 3. That many years I have been observing children. And initially it was very difficult because there was no guide at all. There was absolutely no idea that children are learning the world at all. So it is a really, years of effort that I have been able to understand this. So, so that is one main purpose of why we are doing this, that we understand children. The second purpose is that you begin to understand yourself, that how interfering you are, and how with completely wrong ideas are you approaching children. Primarily because getting educated means we are conditioned by education. Our notions are already fixed, that this is what knowledge is, this is what how they should learn, all that. So we will have to completely, so that process will help you to deschool yourself, unschool yourself. So actually, people keep talking about I'm unschooling my child. That's a very absurd statement. You can only unschool yourself. Children are not schooled at all. Schooling means conditioning the brain, conditioning the mind. We are the one who are conditioned, and we are the one who needs unschooling. What children need is a space in which they are not schooled. So you don't have to unschool them, prevent them from getting schooled. That is what you should be doing, not unschooling them. So the whole process will help the adult to understand how they have been interfering, how their notions are wrong, and things like that, So that is basically the, point that I want to share with you. And as I told you, we already have a group of around, I think, 20 odd parents who are doing the below 7 years. And I've invited some of them to come and talk also as to what has been happening. And so if you have any questions, we can look at that. And then later I will see if Anjana or somebody can talk about what is their experience in the last. And also, of course, Svetlana is already there. She has been working, for many years with me now, quite some years. And she has been observing and seeing the, how observation is helping her to re-understand what the child is all about, So that is the idea, actually. No doubt. Oh, you're not unable to tell me, no? Oh, sorry. You can't speak now. Okay, let me just. Uh, Not share screen security. I've already. Can you unmute now? Try.
It works now.
Okay. I think now, yeah.
When you say observing, what exactly do you mean? Like, what is that one should be observing?
Okay. Yeah. So people have been observing. I think it's better that they answer this, no? Can you try, Svetlana, to answer this?
Sure, I can share what I've been doing. So I've been, I think, working with Jinan for a couple of years now, and my son is turning 7 in September. That's why I'm interested in this age group. But what I think my understanding when Jinan says, when we say observe, it's objective observation. So you look and you try to document, meaning take maybe videos or taking notes, but you're trying the exercises to separate yourself from what you're observing, because normally, right, we observe and we also have our opinions or our conditionings about what's happening. And so the exercise is consciously to separate this and say and to just observe, like you observe, you know, the sun, right? Or like there's full moon right now. So the moon, you're seeing the moon, it's full moon, and you observing this. Okay, the moon is full, it's round, it's yellow, it's the facts. You know, you don't say, okay, I like the moon, that's an opinion. Or, you know, the moon should be this color, that color, that's an opinion. So I think that's first separation and pure observation, objective, right? And so when the child is, you know, doing something, what are they saying, right? How they do it? Are they jumping on the sofa? You know, like anything that even may seem like it's not unusual, because that's the thing. I think we're always looking for unusual things, but I think the exercise is just everything that we are doing or the child is doing. Again, don't separate it. Don't think, oh, this is usual or this is where it's coming from. It doesn't matter how it's coming from, where it's coming from. It's just the fact. You know, the child is jumping on a sofa, or, you know, the child is like writing this or this or drawing this or this, right? I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything.
Yeah. Is Anjana there? Anjana, are you? Anjana, no. So, yeah, I think Charlie you had posted something recently, no? Okay. Charlie, you had posted that how the child was making the, you know, human figures or something, na? You know, that kerchief that you had. So before you say, I just want to share one video, and let's look at what is observation from that. I think that will be a better, you know. Let me share a video, and then let's look at what do you observe in this. Let's just, you know, take one example. Okay, I think you all saw, you know, something that you saw. Now, people who are not who have not attended my workshop, can you tell what is it that you saw in this? Nagendra, can you try? I mean, anybody who has.
I think the kid was curious. I was like trying to. The kid is saying, whatever it is saying, like, in this case, the foot, I guess. It's like, I don't know, just curious, I guess. I don't know what else to say there.
This is the kind of answer that we should stop answering, curious.
Okay.
Then immediately we are putting our idea into that.
Yeah.
Without putting any kind of idea, whether they are creative, uncreative, curious, because these are all things that are there. There is no question of talking about all those things. I feel absurd when people talk about these things because they are suddenly seeing that this is unnatural. The most natural thing is children are curious. Not only children, everything in life is curious. And everything in life is creative.
Right.
Understand? Creative basically means uncovering what is not known through spontaneous response. That's what every child is doing. So those are things that we don't, so we specifically look at what exactly did the child do. That's the question. How many of you noticed that what does the child actually did? That's the point. So like this, so it will take time. It's not that suddenly you're going to, start observing because you're never observed actually. Observation was completely absent. Understand? That too very keen observation. Because we are always putting adjectives into that, no? Or judgments, things like that, or conclusions. So actually, without conclusion, we have to just keep on observing. That will awaken your natural ability to observe. What is missing in modern educated people is that they don't observe anything because they conclude everything very fast. They are moving from conclusions, not plain observations. Yeah.
Jinan, did you want me
Jinan,
to share my
Sorry. Yes. Yeah.
observation? So an observation that I shared recently in the group that I'm in with Jinan and others, I shared of my just turned 7-year-old daughter, and she showed an interest. She wanted to watch some videos on YouTube about napkin folding. So if that makes sense, I don't know if that translates well across all places. So like table napkins, she got this interest in folding them. And so she chose to watch some videos, which were interestingly, they were videos without sound. So there was no instruction. She was just watching someone folding napkins into different shapes. So it started out with that. And then she stopped watching the videos and was practicing different shapes that she was folding them into. And then there was one design in particular that she liked, which was making a candle out of the table napkin. So she practiced that a lot. And then the candle shaped napkin became a person. And so that she started to play this game with this table napkin that was a person. And then she made a few more, and then she made enough and different sizes out of some paper towel to be like our family. So she had 5 of them, varying sizes. She tucked one of the baby napkin in the shape of a candle into one of the bigger ones, and said that it was being held by the mummy. And then the game continued on, just playing this family with these candle-shaped table napkins. A necklace, a beaded necklace that she spotted, became a pet snake. And the game just went on like that for quite a while, with different sort of storylines of this family. So that's what I shared with the group.
Yeah. So did I again mute you, all of you, or you can unmute yourself? Check it out. No. Nagendra, just try. You can't unmute. Oh, I think something by mistake again, I try now. Can you do it? Okay.
Yeah.
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 Can I ask a question about observation?
Pardon? Is anybody?
Yeah. Can I ask a question about observation?
This time is for that. Please feel free to ask.
Okay. So I have a scenario. Let us say, as a family, we want to visit a friend or a family relative, and the child is not interested or not very keen to go. And as of now, the child is in a happy mood. But when we go there, he goes with us, and when we come back, let us say he is not in the same mood. So is it okay to say that, at that moment, first time he was happy and now he is not that happy? So is it a judgment or is it an observation?
It's an observation. I mean, it can be both, it depends.
Yeah.
You can, if you are sensitive, that's an observation.
Mhm.
But when you make a judgment, is something else, that whether it is good or bad or whatever, no?
Okay. So I don't associate, let us say, being unhappy is good or bad. I'm just saying he doesn't look happy now or she doesn't look happy now.
Observation.
Okay. Got it.
Anjana, would you like to share?
Question or the discussion that was happening, can you repeat?
No. I wanted you to share, why are you observing children? What is it? How is it benefiting you and benefiting the child? That is the basic.
So, how it is benefiting me is I am unlearning. I am unlearning a lot. I am understanding a lot about myself, of the things I am holding, of the way I am interfering, of the way I am imposing on them, of the conditioning, of the beliefs I hold. And how it is benefiting is I am like, I know I have changed a lot. I know the situation in my home, the way I am with my children and the way the children are with me, the relationship we have, it's like observation have fully changed, transformed our lives. Like I started observing my children about 1.5 years ago. That's when I attended your workshop. And 6 months into observing, and I realized that the place where I live is not suitable. And I was living in Trivandrum city in an apartment, in the first floor of an apartment. And we took a massive decision to shift to another district, Wayanad, where we are now living in a more open space, in a village. Like this shift happened only because I was observing by the children, and with that I was able to understand what was happening, and that was the reason for this massive shift. Even now, it is this observation that is helping me in going forward in my parenting journey. Yeah.
How is it benefiting children?
How is it benefiting children? It's, maybe they are having a better life, maybe. A better mother.
Yeah, thank you. So whenever you feel like, please converse. So this is an open space, whenever you have something to contribute, please do so. Okay, Anjana?
May I?
Yeah, Geeta Rao, yeah.
Yeah. So my daughter is 8. She's above 7, but after attending your last workshop, I also started observing her. And I've started making her skip school on some days. So one of the days we did origami together. And made a heart also. One of the figures she made was a heart. and she took a liking to the heart, and the rest of the day she spent making just a lot of origami hearts. She was just making hearts and hearts and hearts. And the next day she took those hearts to school, and she took some origami sheets. When she came back from school, I asked her, what did you make in school with the origami sheets? She said, I made hearts. So for 2-3 days, she just went on making hearts. But because I was supposed to observe, I wasn't intervening or saying anything. Otherwise, my usual self would be that I would encourage her to make some other figures also. That why don't you, that you've made so many hearts, why don't you try making something else? But I stopped myself from interfering. And what I realized was that through observation, I realized that it was her way of perfecting making an origami heart. And finally, on the third day, when I saw, she told me at night only that in the morning when I wake up, I want to do what I want to make hearts again. So, and in the morning, that was the third day, and she started making the hearts, and I saw that it was geometrically perfect. The third day, her heart had become geometrically she might not have learned other figures, which I would have urged her to, but she perfected that one thing. And when she reached that perfection, she immediately stopped making hearts. She did not make any more origami hearts. So I realized that it was a great learning for me also, that it's not always, I mean, it's not a great idea to tell children or guide children what to do. They know what they are doing, and she was curious to learn and to reach the perfect shape. And she was doing it playfully without any pressure by herself.
Thank you. That was nice, Geeta.
Thank you.
Yeah, Svetlana, please.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I just wanted to jump in because that's exactly what I've been getting out of observing my child. So he, very similarly, he started kind of interested in reading in letters on his own, and then he would sit for hours and hours and copying things from like bottles and labels and some vitamins that we have or some packages or whatever he can find. He would just find and copying. And so he learned on his own pretty much to read and write and we have 3 languages, and in 3 languages simultaneously, right? And it's the same thing that I've been observing, that he is repeating, like repetition that he is doing. And if I'm interrupting, right, him, then he wouldn't have been able to do this. And so this sense, what I'm getting, okay, I'm just going to be there. I'm seeing what he is doing, but I need to keep my mouth shut, right? I need to like really distance myself and allowing him the space. And the same thing right now, he's into maps. And I know maps is not very, ideal. We're in the city right now. So he's in maps, and he's been like spending hours studying the maps and where things are located. And it's like a giving. And I'm also been observing that, I don't, as an adult, I don't give myself a chance to actually focus on something, really focus, because we are so dispersed in our attention. We have so many projects usually going on. And then the child is able to have this solid presence on one thing and get whatever they need out of that. And it's unconscious. Like, I'm not asking him, what are you learning from this? Right? I'm not like trying to make it a learning activity. It just happens.
Yeah. So one of the concern that many people have is that whether children learn to read and write on their own. So I think, through these activities, we are able to really, document this and tell people that, yes, this is happening. I think that is what Svetlana is contributing actually. And my feeling is that Svetlana, the map that he is exploring, I feel we shouldn't be judging that, because he's actually responding to the map in the context of the real world, unlike us. You see, he's actually making the connection between 3D and 2D. we are trapped in the 2D. We don't connect between these two, So I think, so for the people who are in this group, drawing would be of great importance, but spontaneous drawing, not instructed drawing. I think that's the time when they will be really able to connect the word and the world. If they are allowed to draw completely spontaneously and without any interference, without any kind of assistance. So I think this map idea is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that activity where, I think that should be documented, separately, that how he is connecting the real world around him and creating maps with that. I think really fantastic study, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, because you're right. Thank you, Jinan. Thanks. And it is truly, you're right. It is my judgment, I think.
Yeah.
Because, I personally don't want to be in the city, but that's another question. But you're right, because he has also been building at home this like train routes, and it's very, very exact. Like he would show me, okay, the train goes around the corner and it goes this way, and it's amazing. It's very exact.
Yeah. So it would be nice if we can document how the child is actually creating a 3D map and a 2D map. He's doing both, na? When he's actually constructing with objects, then he is looking at a 3D map, you see, which he is now translating that into drawing, where he's looking at a 2D map. How on a page, how do you make a map? Because see, these are all our confusions actually, but the child is not having any such confusion. So I think it will be fantastic if we can just keep documenting what he is doing, and so that's very nice. Thank you. So feel free to check with me even after this also, if you feel like something you recollect and you want to check, please WhatsApp me and I will respond to that.
Can I ask a question now?
Yeah, please don't ask permission. This space is for that only. You just
Okay.
and then ask.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Jinan. So I have two kids. One is 14 years old and the little one is about to be 4. And I know it's a bit early for the little one to start journaling, or is it something that I can really start with? And that's my first question. And the second question is, when should I observe? Is it throughout the day, or some moments when they are playing, and when do we journal about this observation, at one part of the day? Or so this is very basic, but this is my first session.
No, don't worry. So number one is that we are the one who are journaling, not children.
Yeah.
We are observing children. See, there are actually a lot of misconceptions that modernity has created about children. That they need your help, they won't function, they need all kinds of things like that. They are not, what you call that, they need instructions, all that kind of stuff. They reading and writing, they need actually nothing children need actually. They are completely self-satisfied and self-contained. We are always interfering and making them dependent on us because we keep praising them, because all these ideas have come from the West, that you keep praising the child and keep on praising, So what really, every moment of our interaction with them, we should be observant. You see, for example, how many times do you tell no to a child? Just take an example of that, right? Understand? So the moment you become aware of that, next time, at least you will become aware. You may continue telling no, but still you might actually know that, oh, now I've told, and I'm sure that will reduce after some time, no? So every time we are actually telling, don't do this, don't do that, or we are telling them that will break, you will fall down. So we are continuously telling them, which they are not even thinking about, no?
Yeah.
So the whole idea is that we become extremely sensitive in our interaction with children. That is the whole thing, and then we slowly stop interfering. And of course, what we encourage is that, right from childhood, try and remove all the toys, but not forcefully, because children don't need toys at all. So this only we will understand if there are no toys in this house now. See, when you fill the house with all toys, then you will never understand whether they need toys at all, You've already given them. So this is the example, what is happening with many of the groups, parents who have been working with me, that they slowly they have removed the toys and they have understood that children don't need toys at all. But they are exploring the real world. So this is what it is, na? Actually, children are exploring the real world. So two things you must understand. One is that children are playful, so they turn all activity into play. And every object is a potential toy. And there are rules that children, life has regarding which object is imagined as other object. Understand? So that this we will be able to decode only if you observe, and these are contextual. Because you may not, your house may not have the same thing which my house has or somebody else's house has, but still children will be using something or the other to tell that this is my child, like what Charlie just spoke, that handkerchief was used as a child, So actually, if we remove things that are adult made, things like toys and all those kind of things, even storybooks and all that, you will find that children require nothing. See, with all these silly storybooks, we are actually reducing their capacity. We are infantilizing children. Their capacity is to understand the world as it is. You don't have to simplify it for them. When we simplify it, they further simplify it. This is the problem. They think that is what is to be learned. So the real content of their learning should be the real world, not our reduced and distorted versions. Understand? Huh? So there are two purposes for what we are doing. One, it's a very personal, that each and every family, parents will become sensitive to their respective children. That is one important thing that will happen. At the same time, as a group, we will create fantastic knowledge about what we are doing to children, For example, in that other group, below 7, fantastic explorations that are happening. So one of this sharing was that this child was again the same thing, repeating something. She was writing something, and very carefully the child was writing, And this mother is telling that 2 lines took almost I forgot how much time. Anjana, do you know? 30 minutes or something. Correct now?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
2 lines to write 2 lines. The child took about 20 minutes. But the child was so absolutely careful. Can you imagine spending 20 minutes for just writing 2 lines? That is the capacity of the child, to be extremely careful, extremely patient. But we don't allow that at all, no? So what happens in a group like this is that we are supporting each other and learning from each other, encouraging each other and creating a space where we are actually understanding what is knowledge, how do the children create knowledge, So there are 2 purposes. One is for a larger purpose that, people will come to know that there is through a collective action from all of us, we enable more and more people to understand this, And naturally, of course, your personal, life also changes because you become more creative, you become more open, and that's the, yeah.
Thank you, Jinan.
Yeah. All right, if you don't have any doubts, then we can close the session.
I can ask another question. I was waiting if someone is going to ask. You also mentioned in your when you are explaining your point. So I do say that often to my child, take care, don't fall. What if you fall? Or don't do that. So I say that often. I know it's not good for the child to say that. But when I see there is some potential danger or something that he might fall, or it keeps popping up to me. And how can we avoid those situations where is it we have to childproof the whole house, or um,
Do the reverse. You must do the reverse because they are far more adventurous. They don't have, you must understand, children don't know what is fear. We are creating fear in them. In fact, they should be more adventurous. They should try things. They should fall down. That's okay. All right. So actually, this is all our fear we are imposing on children. This is what is happening. No. So you want to prevent anything that is going to happen to the child. That is all your fears. So that's why I'm telling you the problem is with the adult. Children have no problem at all. We create fear in them. We make them more dependent. So that's why we have to deal with ourselves, not make create child-proof. No, you shouldn't be doing that at all. In fact, you must allow them to use whatever objects that are there, but be there in case something happens. Actually, children should start using knife, real knives. That is what the fear of most modern parents. So they will give them either a fake knife which doesn't cut. We're just wasting time, and just distorting their processes. Actually, they must participate in our life, the way we do things, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ritu.
Yeah, I wanted to share two little examples of how my observation of how children create knowledge. So my younger one came in and peeped into the camera, and so the other day they listened to a Shishi Ravishankar in it. So she asked me, "Is this the Yog Nidra Guruji looking at your picture?" So now the sense of bed is how many correlations happen. The other day there was a gentleman of a Muslim faith down below. So she's seen another picture of some Shivaji somewhere. So she immediately said, "This is V Shivaji." So whenever I said no, she has so much disappointment. She's like, "How can it not be related that everyone has a bed?" So then she drew her own and said, "Okay, now this is whosoever I want." You can't just keep saying this is not this person or that, because for her, these images are what she's trying to draw meaning out of. She's like, if you listen to an audio and you can speak to this person, why can't I talk to this person? Kind of a thing. So the other day, there were two little children, 4 and 5-year-old. I was talking to their mothers in a living room, and there was not there was no furniture as such in the space, but I put a mattress and a few strings and stones and so on. So they put a basket and a stone in the center. Like to our eyes, it looks the center, but to them, it's a very symmetrical judgment. And they created a jump and hurdle game. So there was one stool, and they created it in a way that it suits both. The hurdle was so well spaced that they would be able to go past it. At the same time, it was not so easy that it wouldn't challenge them enough. Okay. So it was still thrilling enough to go past it.
Yeah.
So, and they did this for half an hour, and they perfected this game in terms of space. Though we made sure that on the outer edge, there was nothing they could bang into in terms of, but like they were pretty okay with that too. Like I sensed that they had a good sense of space. And also there was a big blackboard. Like adults sometimes even struggle to have a sense of space in writing, like in the, when we zoom out, right? We are used to writing on paper. There's a blackboard. These two children made
the whole sense of the blackboard, and the parts they couldn't reach, they asked for a stool. But the whole thing was so proportionate. I wish I captured an image. They themselves rubbed and created another and created. And within like 20 minutes, they were creating images after images. And they had a whole story in those images. Now, these are also children who play around in general and are left without being much tampering. But this is the beauty. Like like I also told myself that if you just sit and observe, a lot happens there.
Yeah. So the idea is to systematically document so that we have something to really tell people. The problem is that there's no documentation.
Yeah.
There is nothing to share because this talk doesn't help, You actually show things, then people will get convinced. That's why we are insisting that, more and more people come in this and start documenting and, start sharing with this, this. Yeah, thank you. Geeta, yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Jinan, because my daughter goes to a conventional school, so we are like a group of 3 parents who have decided to make our kids skip school on the same day and homeschool them at least once or twice a week. So I read your book, Seeing with Hands, and your part in that book, working with elder children. So in that you write that with children who are a little older, we need to intervene to bring drawing back to them.
In a very sensitive manner. What I'm telling is that, if we have not done it at all, see, the first preference will be no interference at all. You create an environment where children can draw. For example, there are things in the, like in the school, what we did was that there were chalks all around, and there was, blackened space all around. So children could just do what they felt like. So that is the ideal situation. Otherwise, maybe you can try to bring it back. And that particular thing that I wrote in the book was about rural children.
Okay.
I brought it. Yeah, I mean, anybody actually. Yeah.
So I had messaged you also a few days back that I drew something and my daughter came and then I shared a picture with you. So she immediately started making what she was seeing in her environment, and there was a story also.
Yeah.
And some things were there in front of her, some were not. So, but I've not observed her drawing before, and she has not drawn much in the past because we also used to have toys, which recently, like I think about 7-8 months back, I removed. And luckily, I just thought of telling them that why don't we make our own toys? And now they are really on that idea, and every day they are making something or the other.
Yeah.
But for drawing, what I thought was, because she doesn't take to drawing so naturally now, that we take these kids to a park which has a set of different elements, like there is a jungle gym, there is a slide and games area, and we tell them, we make a treasure hunt for them, and we tell each child to draw or sketch one part of the park, and then we'll tell them that whatever treasure hunt we've hidden, we'll mark it in the map that you make. And then we play the treasure hunt that way. Would that be very intervening, or is that advisable or not? Because
in a hurry, don't be in a hurry to do too much. Slowly figure out, try as little interference as possible, Try to put some, chalk around, and, what Ritu was telling was fantastic. See, this has happened in our school also. When we had blackboard, children would draw, rub, and they make a fantastic story, For hours they are doing this, Drawing something, then they will rub something, they will add something else, So that is a very, very interesting way in which children actually tell stories. And so the drawing is no longer static then, They're continuously recreating something, So I feel that, this kind of spaces if we provide, of course, least interference is the thing, that's the basic thing, So we create an environment where this happen. So see, in the school, what was happening was that there was no interference at all. So children would basically make their own things. See, we don't call them toys, because toy is a wrong understanding of things, Children, there is no vocabulary for toy actually. They are recreating the world. using objects that are around, right? That's not a toy for them. It's actually part of the cognitive process to understand how things work. That is what they are doing. They're making use of whatever materials available to recreate the world. And that is a cognitive process. We are actually putting terms like this is learning, this is toy, this is play, this is park, So we are actually fragmenting their integrated life,
Yes.
Understand? So the drawings the children did in the school was very much connected with the play they were doing. And the play they were doing was very much connected with the experiences they are having. So there is a clear connection between experience, play, and drawing.
Yes.
It's one thing, actually, But see, so drawing is the activity that children do to connect the 3D world and the 2D world. Because drawing is 2D, but they will mix 2D, 3D also in that. So there is no set rules, very spontaneously trying to understand the world. There are no fixed rules, but you can understand that there are general rules that we can try and understand. That there are materials to be explored, there are properties to be explored, there are how things work needs. So you will find that all the activities that children do, what we call as play, falls into any of one of these activity. Either they are looking at the form, how does it look like, how does it function, what are the properties of material, what is the use of that. This is something that they are continuously trying to recreate, and that they will also recreate in drawing in a very two-dimensional manner. That's what it is actually. So the idea is that we begin to slowly withdraw, and create more and more space for them. That is the whole idea, and make it more and more spontaneous and natural for them. So as I was telling the school idea, that if we find a sensitive, non-interfering government school, that is much better. So you don't even have to send children that way to school also. You can always tell them children will come maybe once in a week or twice in a week or something like that. So they're okay with that. In many government schools. Of course, if you create a good friendship with them, that's the thing. All right.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Jinan, I have a couple of questions if you still have some time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned about storybooks, and if we are not reading any storybooks to the kids, how can they develop their reading habits when they are older? And
I think this kind of questions, I think we should start in the. I don't want to turn this into a parenting workshop, but you must understand the general rules of that. That these are things that these are all our fears that we have. That I don't think that that this is the issue is to address these fears. So we have been conditioned to believe that children are incapable. That's what it means actually. That we have to always do something for them. But the condition needs to be there. That's different. It's a simple example I'll tell you, that in Bangalore slums, children learn 3 to 4 languages by the time they reach 4 years. No teaching at all. They are able to speak 4 languages by the time they reach 4 years. No teaching at all, no effort to learn. Please understand this. But the condition exists where there are, at least 4 different, languages being spoken around them. That's a condition. That's a non-interfering condition. You must understand the difference between non-interfering conditions and interfering conditions. What we are creating is interfering conditions, assuming that they are not capable, they will not do this, they are, all that kind of fears. Whereas in an indigenous community or in an illiterate community or in the Bangalore slums, they are absolutely not worried whether children learn or not, because children will learn. That the nature is to learn. That's the reason. You see? Understand now? So we have to see, that's what Svetlana and everyone is trying to do. That, she's not taught them reading at all. They're not taught them writing at all. Slowly, children are learning to read and write on their own. That is what we want to prove. See, the thing why we are insisting on this is that the learning process, whatever they are learning, is the same. Whether they are learning to read, learning to write, learning to speak, or learning the world, the template is same. The process is same, the ability is same. But the moment you interfere and start teaching, it works against the nature of learning. And then you kill that natural process. Natural process given by life. All right? The teaching process is something that modernity has, created, and that actually kills the natural learning process. That is why we say don't teach children at all, because children are capable of learning. Create the environment for learning. That's all. So the most important environment is that children must see processes happening on, around them. So if children are seeing people are speaking different languages, they will pick it up. So, right? Yeah.